we are going to start chapter 3, that is know about some common gases. In this chapter we have to learn about some common gases like oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide. Okay, so let's start one by one. First we have oxygen gas, and we are starting here with the preparation of this gas. How we can prepare oxygen gas? We have several processes to prepare this gas, like if we use sodium peroxide, that is Na2O2, we can produce oxygen gas with sodium peroxide. How we can prepare? We need a container where we keep sodium peroxide, and then we have to add water drop wise. Okay, drop by drop we have to add water over this peroxide compound. Then we can see the formation of the base according to the peroxide we have taken, and along with the base we can see the formation of oxygen gas. Okay, so this is the first procedure to prepare oxygen gas. Okay, next process we have, this is very common to us also, which is electrolysis of water. Now what is electrolysis? Electrolysis is the process where using electricity we can change the chemical process or chemical reactions. We can create chemical reactions by applying electricity. So here by electrolysis we can also produce oxygen along with hydrogen. Now what we have to do here, we have to take a container which is specially known as voltmeter, and within that container we have to take an electrolyte. Okay, electrolyte means the chemical or the compound which will generate the ions, and that ions will conduct electricity, and from the ions we can produce the components of that electrolyte. So if we want to produce oxygen, then as the electrolyte we have to take water. But we know that water is a very bad conductor of electricity, so that is why we have to use here the acidified water. Okay, we can mix sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, and then we can use the water as an electrolyte, and then we have to put two electrodes. Okay, one of them is known as cathode, another one is known as anode. Now what is cathode and anode? If we connect the positive terminal of the battery with the electrode, then it will be known as anode. Okay, if the positive terminal is connected with the electrode, then it will be known as anode, and if negative terminal is connected to the electrode, then it will be known as cathode. Okay, now we have the voltmeter, electrolyte, anode, cathode, that is the electrodes. Now if we start electricity, if we allow the electricity to pass through the conductor, then we can see the formation of hydrogen gas at the cathode and the formation of oxygen gas at the anode. Okay, so by this way, which is known as electrolysis, or the process we also can tell this as hydrolysis of water also, or hydrolysis process, because hydro, the term hydro actually relates anything related to water. Okay, so here we are doing the electrolysis of water, so we can also say the process as hydrolysis. So by this process we can also generate hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Okay, now the third process we have, which is known as the laboratory preparation. Okay, laboratory preparation means we have to choose some chemicals by which we can produce our required compounds or required chemicals by a convenient process, in a low cost process, but as well as we can generate, we should generate the compound at its purest form. Okay, so for the laboratory preparation we use here KClO3, the name of this compound is potassium chlorate. Okay. Now, if we heat potassium chlorate, we can see the formation of oxygen gas along with potassium chloride. Now, here is a question that if we heat potassium chlorate with a minimum amount of manganese dioxide, then what will happen? Actually, this manganese dioxide will act as a catalyst. Okay. Now, what is catalyst? Catalyst means it is a compound or it is a chemical, such a compound or such a chemical which can activate the rate of the reaction. Okay, it can make the reaction, the process faster. You can see that we have to apply heat here to produce oxygen from potassium chlorate. Now, the amount of heat is how much? We need here almost 650 degrees Celsius temperature. Okay, but if we start the process mixing KClO3 with a certain amount of manganese dioxide, we can complete the process at only 230 degrees Celsius temperature. Okay. So, by using MnO2 we can reduce the temperature value and we can make the formation of O2 oxygen a little bit faster also. Okay. So, if we use only potassium chlorate, we need 650 degrees Celsius temperature. If we add some manganese dioxide with it, we can complete the process at 230 degrees Celsius temperature. So, this is the better one. Okay. So, always when we use potassium chlorate to form oxygen gas or to generate oxygen gas, always we add a little bit MnO2. Now, what happens this compound at last? Actually, MnO2 acts as a catalyst, and that is why there is no chemical kind of function of this compound. That means, at the end of the process we will get this MnO2 intact. Okay. If I take a little bit MnO2 with potassium chlorate here, then we will get this MnO2 at the end of the whole process intact. That means, if I take suppose 2 gram of manganese dioxide, at the end of the whole process I shall get the same thing, that is 2 gram of MnO2. Okay, this is the function or this is the magic of catalyst, that it can make faster the reaction rate, but it does not take part in the chemical process. Okay, so that is why we do not get here any product or any compound which is which have mixed with this MnO2 and Mn, that is manganese related any product, we shall not get here. Okay. So, this is the role of catalyst in a chemical reaction, and this is one of very common examples that the formation of oxygen gas from potassium chlorate by using MnO2. Okay. So, this is the role of MnO2, and here we can you can show the example also. Now, the next thing is the properties of this gas. So, we have these preparations of oxygen gas. First of all, we can use sodium peroxide. Secondly, we can apply the electrolysis process. Thirdly, we have learned the laboratory preparation process, and we have also learned the new term catalyst and the role of catalyst in a reaction, and where we can apply this thing. Okay. So, after the preparation portion we have the properties. Okay, properties of oxygen gas. First of all, any chemical compounds has generally two types of properties. Number one is physical properties, its color, its odor, any special type of texture, okay, density, and the second one is the chemical properties of the compound. So, here we have the physical properties first. Physical properties are oxygen is basically colorless, we know, and obviously odorless. It has no special kind of smell, and it is slightly heavier than air also, and slightly soluble in water. Okay. So, these are oxygen gases physical properties. Now, we have some chemical properties too. So, what are the chemical properties? First of all, I have written here oxide formation. Okay. So, oxygen basically can can form oxide. Now, we have three types of oxide: acidic oxide, amphoteric oxide and basic oxide. First of all, if oxygen reacts with any kind of non-metal, then it will give acidic oxide. Okay. Suppose it reacts with sulfur, okay. Sulfur plus oxygen will give you sulfur dioxide. So, sulfur dioxide is an example of acidic type of oxide. I have written here that from acidic oxide we can get acid, because if we make soluble the acidic oxide, then we can get acid actually. So, if we make soluble this SO2 within water, then I shall get H2SO3, which is known as sulfurous acid, okay, is a kind of acid basically, and the name is sulfurous acid. So, sulfur is a non-metal. With oxygen it will give an acidic oxide, sulfur dioxide. With water, an acidic oxide generally gives an acid, and here we have taken sulfur dioxide, so it will give us sulfurous acid. Next example we can take as carbon. Okay, carbon with oxygen will give us carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is also an acidic oxide, and if we react, if we react carbon dioxide with water, we will get H2CO3, which is known as carbonic acid, an acid. Okay. So, this is non-metal oxygen, this is acidic oxide. With water it will give us acid. Next example we have, suppose if we take phosphorus with oxygen, phosphorus will give us also an acidic oxide. This is P4O10, okay, P4O10. This is phosphorus pentoxide, okay. We can write this also in this way, that is P2O5, okay, 2P2O5. So, this is phosphorus pentoxide, and obviously an oxide, acidic oxide. So, with phosphorus pentoxide, if we add water to it, it will give us H3PO4, that is phosphoric acid. So, in all three cases we can see that oxygen will react with a non-metal to give you an acidic oxide, and this acidic oxide always reacts with water to give you an acid. Okay. If it is sulfur, then you will get sulfurous acid. If it is carbon, then you will get carbonic acid, and if you take phosphorus, it will give you phosphoric acid. Okay. So, all this about the first kind of oxide, that is acidic oxide. Now, we have the second one, that is if we take any kind of metal, okay, then what will happen? If we take any kind of metal like sodium, magnesium, calcium, then metal plus oxygen will give you basic oxide. Okay. Suppose if we take sodium, sodium reacts with oxygen to give you sodium oxide, that is Na2O. This is an example of basic oxide, because Na2O will react with water to give you a base or an alkali. This is sodium hydroxide. Okay. Another example we can consider here, suppose if we take calcium, calcium will react with oxygen to give you calcium oxide, and this calcium oxide further will react with water to give you calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH whole 2. Third example we can consider, if we take magnesium, we have magnesium also. Magnesium will react with oxygen to give you magnesium oxide, as well as if you add water to this, it will give MgOH whole 2, that is magnesium hydroxide. Okay, so this is the second type we have done also, basic oxide. If we take a metal, it will react with oxygen to give you basic oxide, and always a basic oxide will react with water to give you a base or an alkali. Okay. If we take sodium, we will get sodium hydroxide. If we take calcium, we will get calcium hydroxide. If we take magnesium, we will get magnesium hydroxide. Now we have the third type of oxide, which is known as amphoteric oxide, which will give you amphoteric oxide. We have a certain kind of metal which generally give you the kind of oxide which will react with both the acid and bases. Okay. This kind of metal like aluminium, zinc, if we form the oxide of these metals, here if we consider aluminium, we will get Al2O3. Okay, Al2O3, 4Al, 3O2, 2Al2O3. Okay, this is aluminium oxide. Aluminium oxide is an example of amphoteric oxide. Okay, why this is amphoteric oxide? Because amphoteric oxide means those who can react with acid as well as base. When it reacts with acid, then it itself reacts as a basic oxide, and when it will reacts with a base, it itself reacts as an acidic oxide. Okay. So, it has no certain kind of acidic or basic properties. It is known as amphoteric nature or amphoteric kind of oxide. Suppose when Al2O3 will react with a acid, suppose I have taken here HCl, then it will give AlCl3 and water. Okay, simply a salt and water. Now we know HCl is an acid, so here Al2O3 is acting like a basic oxide. Okay. So this is the first kind of action. Now if we make reaction Al2O3 with NaOH, then we can see the formation of NaAlO2 plus water. Okay. NaAlO2 is sodium aluminate, which is a salt, and water. Simply salt and water formation are taking place here, and here we have taken NaOH. NaOH is a base, so Al2O3 is acting here as an acidic oxide. So that is why they are known as amphoteric oxide, or they have the amphoteric nature, because when they act with an acid, they will act itself as an basic oxide, and when they are acting with they are reacting with a base or alkali, it itself reacts like an acidic oxide. Okay. So in both the cases they will produce salt and water. And the similar thing is found to happen with zinc also. Zinc will give us zinc oxide, okay, and zinc oxide is another example of amphoteric oxide. When it will react with HCl, it will give you salt and water. When it will react with a base, it will again give you the salt and water. Okay, so this is the third type of oxide, which is known as amphoteric oxide, and basically we use these two examples, aluminium oxide and zinc oxide. Okay. Now the next oxidation reaction we have, basically when oxygen added to some elements, then it will get oxidized, and here we can see the formation of nitrogen dioxide. If oxygen reacts with nitric oxide, it will give us nitrogen dioxide, and the formation of nitrogen dioxide can be identified by the generation of brown fumes. Okay. This nitrogen dioxide give us brown fumes, whereas nitric oxide has no certain special kind of smell or color or anything, but when it reacts with oxygen, it will give brown fumes, and by the formation of brown fumes we can say that nitrogen dioxide is producing here. And the second example of oxidation we have, if we take acidified FeSO4, FeSO4 means ferrous sulphate solution, in presence of oxygen it will give us ferric sulphate. Okay, ferric sulphate and ferrous sulphate. What is the difference in between ferric sulphate and ferrous sulphate? This is the more oxidized form. Okay, here iron in iron 2 plus state, whereas here iron is its 3 plus state. Okay, that is, it is more oxidized form, and you can see the change in color also. Ferrous sulphate is basically has a color of light green, whereas ferric sulphate has the color of slightly light yellowish. So, with the change of color you can identify the formation or the change of ferrous sulphate to ferric sulphate. Okay. So, this is the another example of oxidation. Now, the next thing we have, that is the absorber. Okay, absorber of oxygen gas. Now, we have certain metals like aurum, like silver, that is Ag, we have platinum, we have palladium. They can absorb oxygen gas at low or normal temperature. Okay, and we have also another example, we can use alkaline potassium pyrogallate solution, which can also absorb oxygen gas. Okay. So, this is all about oxygen. First we have to learn the preparation process. Next we have properties, we have some physical properties and some chemical properties. In the chemical properties we have to learn the kind of oxide we can get from oxygen with the reaction with metal, non-metal, and a special kind of oxide which is known as amphoteric oxide, and examples are aluminum oxide and zinc oxide. Okay. Basic oxide, from the basic oxide we can get alkali or base, and from the acidic oxide we can get acids. And the next oxidation reaction was, if we add oxygen to anything it will get oxidized. Okay. And here we have two examples, the formation of nitrogen dioxide and the formation of ferric sulphate. Okay. And the last thing was the absorber of oxygen gas, where we can see that these metals like aurum, silver, aurum means gold, silver, platinum, palladium, they can absorb oxygen at low or normal temperature, and we can also use alkaline potassium pyrogallate solution which can also absorb oxygen. So, this is all about oxygen.
Subscribe. Click on the bell. Like, comment, share.